I'm Kier from In Defense Of, a podcast member of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the one you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of each individual. Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com and get ready, because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1.
Stand by for a brand new episode of All Things Good and Nerdy.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 343, I believe it is, of the All Things Good and Nerdy podcast. This is recording live on Sunday, January 13th, 2019. It's the day after 4 inches of snow dropped on me last night, and I had forgotten how much I dislike snow. It's not a lot of snow, but it's the first real snow of the year, and as I was out there shoveling it this morning, I was like, ugh, I'm old, this sucks. I hate my life. But hey, other than my hating snow, Anthony, how you doing? Glad you're here today.
Snow? What's snow?
It's that wet, white stuff that I don't like.
Yeah, it's the stuff I used to get during the winter. But apparently there might be something wrong with the Earth's climate, because it's January, and we had exactly 4 minutes of snow like a week ago that didn't even stick.
Why are you
I live in fucking Idaho. I like snow. I like the winter. I like the cold. Where's my fucking winter?
Yeah,
We're halfway through January. We haven't had an actual day where there's been snow on the roads yet. That's utterly ridiculous. We used to get snow starting in October.
This is really our first one. We had like a dusting at one point in time that everyone panicked and freaked out about. But the weird thing is, on Tuesday, I was at work. I took a break at lunch because it was 63 degrees out. So I went outside and walked around for 10 minutes. The next day, it was 31 degrees and spitting snow. And I was like, what the hell is going on? So, yes, we are in the middle of wintertime officially now, it seems like, because we are getting weird snow weather patterns. And
because you get the heat wave that comes in front of the cold front that's pushing the snow.
Yeah, well, there was a hot weather wedge or wind wedge that was supposed to delay some of the snow, but it didn't for us. I don't know. I follow this weather dude on Facebook that explains it all to me. I am not a meteorologist. I do not understand weather well enough to be like, it's this term and it means it's going to do this. I'm like, I'm going to the internet. That will teach me these things. I don't need to know them.
That makes sense.
So if you're watching live, you might have noticed there's only 2 people on camera. We're not sure where Willie is. He might be alive still, or he might have gone out and had some fun last night and forgot that we have a show. I don't know. Nobody's seen him since yesterday. This is not us being like, Willie's dead. Don't take it that way. We just figure he had fun and had higher priorities that came up. So, hey, Willie, if you're hearing this, I sent you the link. Come join us. Be part of the show.
You heard it here first, people. Willie Nelson has died.
No. God damn it.
Clickbait!
Jesus Christ. So going back to my whole bitching about snow thing, then we get into other things. I did figure out a way to better entertain myself when I am shoveling the snow is I have put a Google Home Mini in my garage. And it is hanging on the wall out there, and I was blasting music at 9 a.m.
Nice.
It was pretty fantastic. And surprisingly, that little hockey puck has pretty good sound. I mean, who'd have thought?
I was going to say, how well can you hear the sound from the hockey puck echoing in your garage when you're outside shoveling?
Not bad. I connected it to the plug nearest my garage door, and I found like some weird hanger kit that basically you wrap the cord around it, and the home hooks into a dock here, and the plug goes into like a little hole here, so it just hangs off the plug on the wall. And so it's pretty well, it's as close as you can get to being outside my garage and be on the cable without unwinding it, setting it outside, which would be dumb.
Yeah, because you'd have to like set it on the ground that's snowy and wet.
And I'd probably drop the snow shovel on it or dump snow on it, and I'd be out $9. Because, I didn't tell that story on this show. It was another one. I found some deal over the winter break where at Walmart I basically ate Google Home Minis for $9 each. I bought.
So would you buy like? Oh, you bought like 12 of them.
I bought 4 of them.
In every closet.
Guys, this is a bad thing. This is how far I've fallen down this home automation path. Is I have Amazon voice services devices, because if I say her name, she'll hear me throughout the house. I think I have 5 of them, and then I have like 5 or 6 Google voice services devices, and it's really become kind of a test now to see which works better for what. And I've kind of been entertained by figuring out that my Amazon devices work better to control the TV. The Google devices work better for music. They've all got their pluses and minuses. Now, the one I'm not testing is Siri because, who cares?
Yeah.
Although
I was going to say, Isn't the whole point to choose one and then go with it? But you're rocking both systems throughout the house.
Well, it's an experiment now. That's how I look at it, as I'm experimenting to figure out which one would fit best. And I'll bring this up now. There's eventually going to be a segment on the GonnaGeek.com show. I don't even think I've mentioned this fully to Steven, where I kind of want to do some lessons learned comparing the two systems. Now, I've been using the Amazon ones for, God, almost 2 years now. I've been using the Google ones for like a month and a half. So I've got a lot of learning left to do. High level, I will say right now, the Google ones are better at answering questions. However, Amazon kind of fixed some of that because they've connected Wolfram Alpha to the back end, and they use Wolfram Alpha to answer complex questions. So the Smart Assistant war is continuing. Wolfram Alpha, it's a website that's really good with facts and questions and things like that.
Huh. Yeah, because I remember hearing that the Amazon one wasn't good at like just answering questions.
It wasn't, but it's gotten a lot better now. And simple stuff is easy. Like, I love having one in my kitchen because I can be like, hey, how many ounces are in a cup, or how many ounces in a pound when I'm trying to figure out recipes and stuff. And if you have a Google one with a screen on there, I found out if you do a Google search on your phone, you can push a button that is like send to your Google Home Mini, and it puts the recipe up on screen on there, which is kind of cool too. So there's interesting things. Like, one of the things I saw at CES was KitchenAid made a Google Home Assistant that was with a screen and all of that, that's battery powered or could be plugged in, that is washable. So it's meant to be in your kitchen, so you have it with you when you're working on stuff. It's water sealed and things like that, so that you can be working on, say, knead and dough, and you're like, oh, I need to see the next page. You could reach out and swipe it. You could tell it next page. And if you get crap on it, who cares? You unplug it, rinse it underneath the sink, let it dry, and plug it back in. That's cool. That is not $300 cool, however.
No, it's not $300 cool. But I've been waiting to see when they were going to make one of those kitchen ones basically water resistant, because I don't believe any actual electronics are waterproof. They're all just varying levels of water resistant. But yeah, it's like you always, whenever it's someone in the kitchen that needs help with the recipe, there's always crap on your hands.
Yeah.
Or best case scenario, you just wash your hands and they're still wet.
Yeah.
It's like, they need something that's not going to get messed up if you touch it with with goop on your fingers.
Yeah, there's CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, was in Vegas last week. Cody Goff was actually out there from the Gonna Geek Network. He was out there for the Curiosity podcast. So I'm sure if you listen to the Curiosity podcast, you can hear some interesting tales from CES, or just follow him on Twitter at Producer Cody. He tweeted out some stuff, but there was all sorts of crazy devices and stuff. And of course, it's the Smart Assistant war. We talked about that. But GE also had something that was like a replacement for the above-the-stove microwave that was like a smart home hub with like a giant touch screen that with Google Assistant. And I think it had Amazon in it also, in a giant screen. But you have to replace your microwave to do it.
Was it also a microwave?
It was not also a microwave. So I was like, well, this is pointless because then I have to take something mounted on the wall and put it on my countertop. To use this
until that assistant can also microwave my goddamn popcorn so I can watch a movie, it ain't worth it.
Yeah, but it was interesting. I'm sure if you want to hear more on CES stuff, tune in tomorrow to the GonnaGeek.com show. I haven't figured out what my news is, but it'll probably be like weird gadgets from CES or something like that, because there were a boatload of weird ones. And to be honest, I haven't done all my research yet on what all the weird ones were, because I got distracted by video games and stuff and my own weird devices like this cup.
I saw, didn't another company release another small robot that they're trying out that's voice activated?
Oh, probably.
Yeah, I think I saw a commercial on one of the YouTube channels I was watching, where it was another company trying to do the home assistant and going straight Jetson style with like an actual gray robot with a screen that follows you around the house.
I just want one of those vacuuming robots. I don't care about an assistant robot.
I wouldn't mind a Roomba, yeah. Or because they have one for hardwood floors now, so that would be nice if I never had to sweep again.
So AC from Game Life Balance Australia, one of our shows here on the network, he was in Japan this last week, and I'm bringing this up for a real reason. But if you follow him on Twitter, he's been sharing a bunch of pictures from vintage game stores and different things in Japan that he's been seeing while he visits family. One of which at the airport was an assistant robot that had like a tablet in it, and you could talk to it to tell you where your flight was. He then asked it to activate self-destruct, and it got sad and slunk off to a corner. I thought that was pretty funny, since we're talking about robot assistants.
That is fantastic.
So,
all the good ones have a sense of humor.
Yeah, it was pretty good. So Sailor Poland in the chat room says, I want a robot that cuts grass for you. There are some out there, actually. You have to put like some guide wires, I think, around your I haven't looked at them for a while, but there are battery-powered ones that cut lawns, and you have to actually do some work to set the boundaries on it. But evidently it works. It doesn't bag the grass for you, but I'm sure it costs a pretty penny, and those batteries wear out quick is my guess. Unless you can get like some Tesla ones that are solar-powered.
Yeah, you need because I mean, with the the way like the Roomba thing works, they have all the mapping features. As long as you could set up the boundaries of your yard, that shouldn't be too hard. And if it had a little storage thing that it just rolled back into and charged itself.
And I think that's how it's supposed to work. Like, now, I have no reason to do that. If you guys aren't aware, I've mentioned it here before. I live in a townhouse, so my lawn is ridiculously tiny. And my backyard also ridiculously tiny. And to be honest, I don't care because my homeowners association dues are to clear the snow off the road and to mow my grass. But if I lived in a smaller house or something somewhere that actually had a lawn, I'd totally be investigating one of these robots to see if it's practical, because growing up, one of the chores I hated the most was cutting the damn lawn. Ugh.
There's a reason I live in a condo. I will never cut the grass again.
Draftsman S in the chat room. Guys, how can I set the boundaries for technology, but I have no boundaries of my own? This is a good question. I don't know.
Yeah, I saw another company did. They have a small Roomba now for cleaning beds as well. Have you seen that one?
I have. I'm not going to be buying one, but
the under the sheet like UV laser cleaner thing.
Yes, but you see, that requires me to have to make my bed versus just toss my covers sort of in a flat manner when I get out of bed.
I was interested in that only because I follow a lot of comedians online and listen to a lot of comedians on podcasts, and I think a lot of comedians would not mind having that robot in their bag, or then when they get to the cheap hotel that the club put them at, the first thing they can do is put that robot under the sheets and have it clean the fucking bed.
Well, I mean, it's just a robot with a black light on it, is my not a black light, UV light on it, is my understanding. Yeah. So you could do similar if you just get a light that is ultraviolet light. Because I have... there's a product, it was on Shark Tank, and it's called Phone Soap. And it's dumb, but I found it for $9 open box at Bed Bath & Beyond one day when I was waiting for my dog to finish at the groomers. And what it is it's a little clamshell case with an ultraviolet light on each side that you drop your phone in, close the lid, and it just blasts your phone with UV light for 5 to 10 minutes to kill any bacteria and stuff on it. I do that every day when I get home from work. I toss my phone in there. Does it do anything? The science says that it should, but who knows?
The other question is, does it make you feel better that you think it's doing something?
That is the better thing. For $9.99 or whatever I paid for it, I'm okay with this placebo effect if it doesn't even work.
I see. I think a lot of people that travel a lot, especially comic book artists when they go to cons, some of them, there's some people that'll go to 13, 14 conventions in a year. Like those guys and comedians that are traveling sometimes every weekend, I could see a lot of them buying this little UV robot when they're going to hotels just because they would feel better about the bed not being as disgusting.
Yeah, I could see that. It's interesting. I also have I had a robot for my kitchen that I haven't used that was a mopping version of the Roomba. My mom got it for me for Christmas one year, and it was great for a while, but it was almost as much work to block off the room properly so that the Roomba didn't try and go into the carpet than it was to just pull out my steam mop and do it myself. So I don't use the robot very often anymore.
Wait, so you have a robot that you're ignoring in a closet somewhere?
It's sitting on the microwave rack that I have pots and pans on next to the stand mixer.
It's just slowly getting more and more angry as it's being ignored.
Its batteries are so dead right now that it has no ability to do anything. Now, if I charge it again, it's going to be pissed. It's going to be pissed, and Chris's robot is going to destroy him or something. And I just referred to myself in the third person, I realized. Damn it. I'm not as cool as The Rock. I can't refer to myself in the third person.
No one's as cool as The Rock, but that's no reason you can't try to be cool.
All right, so side note before we go into news of the week. I'm really random today because I'm hopped up on caffeine, but there was the interview going around the internet supposedly about The Rock decrying snowflake culture. It never happened. If anyone noticed, The Rock put out a rebuttal within hours saying, I never did an interview like this. I have no idea what's happening. And he started talking about, I have nothing against the millennial generation, blah, blah, and then referred to himself as part of the tequila generation. So...
yeah, that was the one he just started during that video.
Yes. So if you're one of those people, and there were a lot of, how do I put this best? A lot of MAGA folks, let's put it that way, that were like, oh, The Rock is on our side, snowflakes and millennials, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, he never said it. Come on, let's be honest. And let's not get into the politics of it. There is one, The Rock, if you look at him, is super smart when it comes to his brand. Do you really think he'd go out and do an interview like that?
He would never diss a group of people unless he's cutting a wrestling promo.
Yes.
That's the last time he ever talked shit about anybody, was when he was cutting a promo.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's be honest, though. The Rock's brand is everyone loves him because he seems to be one of the nicest dudes out there. He's incredibly positive to his fans and people he works with and stuff like that. Do you really think he'd go out there and do an interview kind of decrying or being down on millennial snowflake culture? Dude's too smart. Even if he believed that, even if he believed that, he wouldn't want to lose the money from the people that'd be pissed off.
Well, and especially after he just had a show go live on NBC, and one of the first movies his studio's producing is going to Sundance.
Yeah.
Like right now, his company's stepping into big markets, and the last thing he would do is piss off a large group of people. That would just be the dumbest thing to do, as money-wise. Yeah, I saw his rebuttal, but never saw the interview or anything about the interview. So that tells you what's more popular, the fake interview or the actual just Rock Instagram videos, because that popped up in my feed. I had heard nothing about a fake interview.
So I saw the interview because it popped up in my feed being like, oh man, I thought The Rock was one of the good guys and stuff like that. And I read it and I went, this doesn't sound right. I don't think this would be The Rock. I was bummed a little bit because I was like, man, I can't believe The Rock, regardless of my own personal feelings on anything like that, he can have whatever opinions he wants. I was like, I didn't think he would say something like this out in public. This doesn't seem right. And so I was very glad when he came out with his response back and was like, I have no idea where this interview came from. I've never done an interview on this. And for lack of a better term, it's BS.
Yep.
So kudos to you, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, for still being awesome. I raise my cup to you.
That he is. Did you see what he got his mom for Christmas? You know, talk about awesome.
A house? Was that what it was?
It was basically a gift card that said it was good for one free house.
Yeah, that's where yeah.
Yeah. Because she's in a house that he bought her, but yeah, he had been waiting to like get her something like really, really good. And so apparently what he said was, the way he wrote the card was, it's a card like normal people would give themselves, like their spouse, a free back rub coupon. He gave his mom a coupon for a house, by which he meant you can choose any house anywhere in the world and I'll buy it for you. So he literally gave his mom a golden ticket and said, find the home that you want to live in basically till you die, and we're going to buy it.
Yeah, which was awesome.
Yeah. He is very much awesome.
I mean, but to be fair, when you're The Rock and you've got 10,000 different projects, you're probably making money hand over fist. It's a lot easier to be awesome than to... I'm not saying that in a negative way. He just has a lot easier path towards being awesome.
Yeah, he is kind of the king of work ethic. Like watching his Instagram makes me tired. Like that's how much shit The Rock's doing.
Yeah. What's he do? Like wake up every 4 a.m., work out for an hour and a half, do a bunch of stuff, go on set. Then he has breaks like every hour for protein consumption and stuff. It is ridiculous. Like if you ever get the chance, go on The Rock's Instagram and watch one of his cheat days, because then you feel a little bit better about when you have a bad day. Because
the epic cheat meals they are epic.
What was it, like 6 pizzas, 2 dozen pancakes, a bunch of sushi one point in time. I was like, God damn, how do you ever?
He does the sushi. He does the sushi one a lot, and when he does the sushi one, it's like 4 platters of sushi, not plates, platters. Yeah. We're talking like 200 pieces of sushi that he eats by himself.
Guys,
when he does the cookies, the giant plate of the super oversized chocolate chip stuffed peanut butter cookies, like, yeah, they're giant. They're giant.
This is some old school ATGN here. We're going back to like the double digits where we were always like, oh, The Rock is awesome. I mean,
because he still is.
He still is. He really is.
And yeah, now we know that Idris Elba's on Hobbs and Shaw, and that's the bad guy. So that movie got way better. I'm so excited to see the Fast and the Furious spinoff.
Yeah, it should be good.
We're all going to be in line, everybody but Tyrese.
Tyrese can just be sad about it. That's all there is to it.
The rest of us will enjoy it.
And you know what else we're also going to enjoy? We're going to enjoy some news of the week.
Live from the ATGN studios on the internet, it's the news of the week.
So welcome to the News of the Week. It's that portion of the show where Anthony and I are going to run down what is some of the most interesting, geeky, and or nerdy news that has popped up in the past week that we feel like you guys should know about. Now, there's absolutely no chance we're going to pick up all of that news. This is more the stuff that just popped out to us and was something that we wanted to bring to folks' attention. And Anthony, why don't you kick us off?
Well, as it is that I had to start the new year by replacing my car of 10 years and now having a car payment and insurance, I've been trying to lower my bills and have less things to pay for. So, like, I got rid of Netflix. And yet, Disney keeps making me want to buy their new service with announcements like the one that came out from MCU News and Tweets on Twitter, that the new rumor is that they're doing a Lady Sif show on the Disney Plus channel. So we already know that Loki's going to do a version of something with Tom Hiddleston's going to do something with Loki. They've got Elizabeth
Olsen.
Like, why can I not think of her last name? Because she's not one of the twins. Elizabeth, not one of the twins, Olsen, is going to be doing something with the Scarlet Witch. And now it's been rumored that Jamie Alexander from NBC's Blind Spot will be reprising her role as Lady Sif and doing some type of show on there where we don't know what it's going to be yet, but it's going to be a Lady Sif show. So we might find out what she was doing during Ragnarok and why she wasn't there. We might see the rise of Lady Sif, how the first female warrior to join the ranks of Thor and the Warriors 3 came to be such a badass, which could be kind of cool. Or it just might be her further adventures in the MCU now that Asgard's been destroyed. But yeah, it's, let's see, what was it? They had
I'll be honest, I'm more excited for the Vision and Scarlet Witch one. That sounds more interesting to me. Now, I guess, spoiler alert, that means they probably survive Infinity War, but is anyone really shocked?
Yeah, I think we all know the actors that have the longest contracts are the ones that are more than likely not going to survive Endgame.
Did you also see the rumor?
You never know.
Did you see the rumor for the Loki series, though? Oh,
that he's only the narrator?
That supposedly they're taking a page from CBS and Young Sheldon, where Tom Hiddleston is the narrator of Loki, and it's a series about a young Loki in Asgard. So, who knows? I don't know what they're going to do. I was kind of hoping it would be more Tom Hiddleston focused, but I'm sure that dude's pretty busy outside of Marvel movies.
True. And that could work really well, because then you recast a very young kid as a little blonde Thor, and you have two kids going on adventures and Tom Hiddleston talking over it. Because these are characters that by the time we meet them in the MCU, they're both 1,500 years old. That's a couple adventures that they could go on as kids. Like, you could run that series for 30 years and never run out of stories, and they'd never have to age because, well, they're Asgardians.
Well, I mean, and they hinted at some of those things in Ragnarok where he's like, yes, he turned into a snake, and then he bit me, and stuff like that.
Knowing that I love snakes, when I picked him up, he bit me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, hopefully we'll get more stuff like that. But yeah, it looks like at this point we're going to get one with Jamie Alexander, which I'm stoked for because I love the fact that she was a real kick-ass version of Lady Sif in the two movies where she got to be in it. And I was kind of disappointed that either Taika Waititi wasn't allowed to use her for Ragnarok, or for some odd reason, maybe the scheduling didn't work out with NBC's Blind Spot. Because I don't know why she wasn't in that, but she's not even mentioned.
It was point two. From what I understood when I was reading stuff as Ragnarok was coming up, they were asking why she wasn't there. It's because they filmed Thor Ragnarok in Australia, and she was in wherever they filmed Blind Spot, which is probably either Canada or the United States somewhere. So the schedules didn't line up to be able to have her there while she was doing Blind Spot. And it's probably a good thing, because had she been there and been available and not be doing Blind Spot, she'd probably be dead like the Warriors.
She might be dead. That's true.
She might be dead.
In the rest of the article, it says there's no real details yet, but so far what they know is the budget's set for $100 million to run 6 to 8 episodes. So it's good news that we're not getting 23 episodes of a goddamn series. Yeah. It hasn't started yet. So the idea that maybe, some of these showrunners are getting wrapping their head around the British style of doing shows and saying, hey, we don't need to do 26, 27, 28 episodes for a season. We just need to do as many episodes as we have story for and call that our season, because on the digital platforms, you don't have to follow any format. You can do whatever the fuck you want. And so it seems like the showrunners who have really embraced that seem to do better than the ones that still have it set in their head that they have to do a 26 or 28 show season. Let's see. It said also presumably some of the other Asgardians who weren't given enough screen time might make appearances. And so It's another place where they could have some of the other actors show up, and then not knowing whether it's a prequel or if it's after Ragnarok or during Ragnarok. Like, there's all sorts of little options of for characters we could see in guest appearances. And I mean, and she was the one connective tissue. The one thing that I hated about Agents of Shield was it was supposed to be like the connecting show, but the only connection that ever showed up on there was Lady Sif, and Jamie Alexander showed up on Agents of Shield. So, I mean, it's cool that now she's moving forward with the character that actually did do the one crossover, really, between the TV shows and the movies. Nobody else did it. She did. So,
Coulson
I'm excited to see. Well, yeah, Coulson, but I mean, it was his show.
I mean, Nick Fury did.
Yeah. Did Fury ever show up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah, he's in like 2 or 3 episodes.
I guess he was early on, huh?
There was an early on throwaway episode where he showed up and was like, "This plane had a bar, Coulson," after the plane got shot up. A bar!
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And then he showed up and saved, at the end of season 1, he saved Fitz from the watery grave or whatever, didn't he?
Was that him that saved Fitz?
I thought it was.
Yeah,
there's Fury that did.
There's been so many seasons of that show, man. Yeah, I can't remember going back in my head. I can't remember anything before Ghost Rider.
I know, right?
Like, there's so much of that show's happened.
So Drasman has a comment in the chat room I think is interesting.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Drasman says, after Game of Thrones is over, I might not renew HBO streaming and go for Disney streaming. Disney's making a very compelling argument to want their service between all of these presumable Marvel shows that are going to happen. Bear in mind, none of which are officially confirmed yet. There's also The Mandalorian, which looks really cool that Jon Favreau is doing and bringing in a bunch of really cool directors to do episodes. I think even Taika Waititi is doing an episode of The Mandalorian, last I had heard. So I think that could be really cool. And it looks like Disney's giving these streaming series here the production budgets they need to make them be near movie class, for lack of a better term. I don't know if there's a better term or not.
Yeah, $100 million for 6 to 8 episodes. Like, that's a pretty damn good budget.
Yeah, that's a ridiculous budget. I wonder how much that's going to the cast, though. Who knows?
It also makes you wonder, depending on when the timeline's set, if there's already sets they can reuse. Asgard's been built like 3 times already, so there,
Asgard was a lot of CGI too. You could do a lot of green screen.
But I'm saying they might have a couple of throne rooms and a couple of hallways that are just stored in a Disney Batlock somewhere. That half the show could be shot there just to save money on the budget and use the budget for CGI.
That's true.
So you can get Lady Sif fighting giant dragons and monsters and shit.
Who knows? There's so many opportunities. I mean, the thing is, and we've talked about it on this show, I've talked about it on other shows, there's too many streaming services right now. It's really hard to juggle what you want. And I am on the same boat of when Disney's service comes out, there's probably a service I'm going to drop to pick it up. I don't know what service that'll be. And then I'm also right now tempted by the DC one, not because of anything but Young Justice. In Young Justice Season 3, they've aired the first 6 or 9 episodes, I can't remember. And it sounds like it's really good, and I love that show. But I look at the service, I go, there's nothing else on there I want to see but that. So I think I'm just going to wait until they finish premiering them, try the week-long trial, and just mainline Young Justice.
Is that what it is right now? Is they have a week-long trial?
I think they have a 7-day trial or something like that. Michelle Ely would probably know better than us. She'd done some looking into it for the Star
because the last I looked at it, I didn't see a trial offer on there, so I was like, I'll wait. Because, I'm interested in... I definitely want to see the new Young Justice, and I'm actually kind of interested in Doom Patrol, even though it looks a little off. Like, that one promo they cut was really strange. And, the live-action Titans, the whole, fuck Batman show, like, I wouldn't pay for that. But if I was renting the service for a week, I would definitely give it a shot because I want to see how they do Starfire's powers and the stuff with Beast Boy, though everything I've already heard about Hawk and Dove has me highly disappointed in the writers.
Yeah, I'm out on that series. I have not seen it myself, but I will fully admit that I followed along with like the episode recaps and some of the live blogs on it, and I went, so it sounds like they put some production value into it, but it sounds like they don't get the characters either. I would much rather just see, and it's been teased, a continuation of the original Teen Titans cartoon. That's what I would rather see. Not Teen Titans Go, but the Teen Titans cartoon from the mid-2000s. That was awesome. Yeah. I'm hoping that they actually do bring that back like they teased at the end of Teen Titans Go to the Movies. Or whatever the movie title was. I might have screwed that up.
I think it was, I think it was Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
Who knows? Maybe I actually got something right there. Regardless, though, too many streaming services. I don't know which ones I'm dropping to do it, but I'm going to get more.
So how many are you currently paying for?
Let's see. I have HBO with cable, but that'll go away when my deal runs out. Then I have Netflix and Hulu, and Amazon Prime. But I don't really do a lot of Prime Video. That's just because I have Amazon Prime.
Yeah. But so right now you have 4.
Yeah.
I'm down to just 1. But yeah, it's one of those things. Like there's at this point, like there's gonna be 7 or 8 pretty soon, and like you add all that up, and you're paying more for that than you used to pay for cable. Which the door goes one way and it swings all the way to the other side of the pendulum, and now you're still going to be paying more if you want everything.
Now, to be fair, I am not the one that purchased Hulu. My fiance is paying the monthly bill on that one, so that one's free to me. I don't really care, but
I've been on the Hulu kick since I got Netflix gone. I started watching. I got back to watching This Is Us, and I'm like almost halfway through the first season. I'm kind of cold. I'm not very caring, but I know for a fact I'm not a sociopath because that show makes me cry almost every fucking episode. God damn, it's got some good writing.
Why aren't you watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine on Hulu?
I haven't started it yet.
That's an incorrect answer. You must, as soon as we are done here, disconnect and start consuming Brooklyn Nine-Nine because Naki was right. She's not here to hear me say it, so I know Keith is in the chat room. I just saw him earlier. You can tell her that I said she's right. I finally jumped on the Brooklyn Nine-Nine train, and I love it. And it had the best ratings it's had in like 3 years on its premiere on NBC last week. So yeah, I'm totally in.
Totally. And Suncat said, "Go watch Future Man." I watched the first season of Future Man. That is a hilarious show. That one is where like basically the future of the world got destroyed by a cure for herpes.
Jeez. So before we wrap up this topic on the streaming service, Jasmine's asking if you guys heard things about DC wants to watch Young Justice, but that's all I really care about on their streaming service right now because I don't care about Titans. They've got the back catalog of like all of the cartoons and stuff like that if you wanted to go back and rewatch those, but honestly, like I was saying, I'd just wait until they've premiered all of the episodes of Young Justice and then I would get the trial or I'd sign up for a month and mainline Young Justice if you want to and then cancel it.
You know, from what I've heard, and I have heard a couple of reviews, a lot of people do really like the Titans show. Everybody that I know that's talked about Young Justice loves that show. I haven't heard good or bad about Doom Patrol yet. I just think they look kind of weird, but I haven't heard anybody give a bad review to the app overall. So I mean, having access to the comics and the movies and the TV shows, like it is, it's a good setup. It's something where it would be nice if eventually Disney had one app that gave you everything. I don't think it'll ever happen, but the idea of doing it that way, it is a cool idea.
It is. And hey, do my eyes deceive me? But if you're watching this live, you saw a face pop up on the bottom of the screen. Willie Nelson, is that you? Are you here, or are you the ghost of Willie Nelson?
I'm on location here. The weather here is kind of harsh. It's an ice storm going on, and my power went out about 6 hours ago.
And that's why you're hiding in a closet with no light?
No, this is my life. I turn on a light, it'd be behind me, and it just goes on the camera. It's a whole weird thing.
I was going to say, you appear to have power now, so hopefully your heat is on and things are staying warm.
Oh yeah, I was underneath nice blanket, so I didn't feel the cold. Yeah, so it was nice.
In the pre-show, we guessed that you had gotten smothered by boobs and died.
If only.
See, I said if you went that way, you wouldn't be mad.
He really wouldn't.
Well, there was that one time.
At band camp?
No, I never went to band camp. I'm not musically inclined, except for singing.
I was trying to make a reference to.
You were right the first time.
Oh, sorry. Trust me, I know. Of course, I know the reference. It's right up there, but I have the thing pulled out, so I can't reach over and grab it.
Wait, you can't grab the reference DVD? What has gone wrong with the world?
I told you I had to rearrange my living room, so even my little shelf that has everything, it's too far over. I mean, I can get up and grab it. Well, that's still yet to come in.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Willie. But we're glad.
Whatever.
We're glad that your power's back on. That you've survived the ice storm round 1. Hopefully, round 2 is not bad for you as well. And hey, you joined in just in time. We're going through some of the news of the week. It's exciting stuff. So I was going to take mine next. I actually have 2 if need be, because I wasn't sure if Willie was here. So I'll do one of them, and then we can figure out whether to do the second one or not. But you guys do know what Steam is, right?
Oh,
what is it?
Steam, the gaming service for PC, so you can buy games and all that for dirt cheap, stuff like that.
It's the sale that Naki and Chris cry about every year because it takes all their money.
I don't play many PC games anymore. But yes, I do cry about it. And I think we had talked about on this show at one point that Epic Games put out their own version of Steam. They called, funny enough, the Epic Games Store. And they were selling things with better cuts for developers, things like that. Well, news came out this week that Epic Games has updated their refund policy to basically match the same as Steam's, providing for unconditional refunds of games within 2 weeks of purchase, so long as you've played less than 2 hours on the game. So now you've got a question. If I can buy it on either service for roughly the same price and be able to return it, which do I go to? And a lot of people are starting to lean towards Epic Games because it seems like developers get a bigger cut out of it, and the sales are roughly equivalent. And I can't believe I'm saying this. It seems like we might actually have a viable Steam competitor out there now.
You hear that, Gabe? You got some competition.
You got some competition indeed. So this news came out last week, and part of what also came out is developers, they are looking and doing reviews on there. They don't currently have storefront reviews on the Epic Games Store. Developers will have to opt into that when they're ready, and Epic is still working on their solution against review bombing. Once that's ready, they will institute reviews for games in their store right now. So that's where Steam still has the advantage, as you can go and read a bunch of user reviews and figure out whether a game is good or not. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they don't get review bombed either. Who knows? It's interesting. I'm really surprised that the Epic Games Store has been as viable. It launched back in September, supports 130 countries in 30 different regions, supports regional pricing and their currencies. It's pretty impressive.
And I had never even heard of it.
It's only 2 months old at this point in time.
It also probably makes sense since I'm not a huge fan of the Fortnite, so I would had to remember which game system that was. I was like, oh, those are the Fortnite guys.
Yes, and I mentioned earlier, I finally found the numbers where saying developers get a better cut. When the Epic Games Store opened, they started offering 88% of the rate back to developers as opposed to the 70% you get on Steam. And here's something really interesting. Ubisoft announced that Tom Clancy's The Division 2 will launch for Windows PC on the Ubisoft Uplay and the Epic Games Store. It will not, I repeat, will not be on Steam.
Yeah, so if you want Borderlands without the humor, again, go for the Division on Epic Storefront.
Well, the only reason I bring that up is it's an interesting trend you're starting to see. If we went back a year ago, it would be almost unheard of that the game is not available on Steam.
That's true.
That is weird.
They were kind of like the one and only.
It's kind of weird that Ubisoft's going for it.
I don't know if it's Ubisoft just wanting to stick a thumb in the eye of Steam or not.
That could be, yeah. Oh yeah. These developers could be going after them like, fuck you guys.
Because they're getting a bigger cut if they don't go there. And people are going to play that game if they want to. The Tom Clancy games in The Division have been fairly popular. So people will go to whatever service they can get it from. And who gives a crap? I don't know. That was
and competition's always good. Any market should not have one monopolized entity. Diamond.
Yeah, that's a problem, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's a real problem. So, Willie, I know you were icebound. Did you have anything you wanted to bring up for News of the Week this week?
I did have something. A little thing, though. It is just a rumor. But apparently the Gambit, Doctor Doom, and other X-Men movies have been shelved.
Doesn't surprise me. They couldn't keep the Gambit movie moving forward.
That was before any of those even started.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that one had been greenlit and canceled 3 times before even the Disney deal.
So I'm sure that's just done. The Channing Tatum Gambit movie just isn't going to happen, which I am A-okay with.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that. I didn't really care, to be honest.
I mean, I love you, Channing, but I don't want you to be Gambit.
In all fairness, he is charming as shit, and he's from Louisiana, so he could have been able to do the accent in a way that was actually realistic. I was kind of interested in seeing it just because of that.
My not caring has nothing to do with Channing Tatum. It has to do with I just don't care about a Gambit movie. It's cool that Channing Tatum was going to do it. I think Channing Tatum would do fine in the role. I just don't care about a Gambit movie.
Yeah, it's not something I was really stoked for.
I'd rather they do Dark Phoenix properly, and I still don't think they're going to.
I mean, who really bought the Gambit comics, the solo ones?
Not a lot, because it got canceled a lot.
So that's all I got. Yeah, it seems like we ran through it.
So I did have one other news story we can touch on then. And you guys might be aware on this show that I am a lapsed professional wrestling fan. I was a child of the 80s and 90s who grew up loving the WWF, later the WWE, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, then the Attitude Era, having The Rock and Austin and all these things. In recent years, I've become a much more casual fan. I might turn it on every once in a while. My buddy Wayne has the network and would tell me when stuff was cool that I should know about. And I think the last pay-per-view or anything I really watched is when Stephen Amell did SummerSlam against Stardust a few years back. So it's been a while. I was actually pretty excited this week when on January 8th, it was officially announced that there is a new major wrestling promotion taking shape. This is All Elite Wrestling. They held a public rally and press conference in Jacksonville on January 8th, the same place they were filming SmackDown that day, to kind of kick things off. Why is this important? There's been other professional wrestling groups that have stood up. Well, these guys have some money behind them. And by money, I mean the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Fulham Football Club, Shad Khan, who's worth like $7 billion almost, and his son Tony are the backers of it. In fact, his son Tony Khan is the company's president. They've brought in Cody Rhodes to help run some of the things as an executive vice president. Also, his wife Brandy is involved as the chief brand officer. They're standing up a new professional wrestling group, and they're putting in a lot of money, and they're signing a lot of names from the independent circuit. The one that was the most interesting to me, Chris Jericho, signed a 3-year deal with All Elite Wrestling. Now, Chris Jericho, I couldn't believe this until I looked it up. Chris Jericho, I thought he was like 42, 43. Chris Jericho's 48 years old. He's still wrestling part-time. Like, he's been doing stuff for New Japan Pro Wrestling, been doing some wicked stuff. Like, I've caught some of his promos there. I've caught some of the matches when they got put up on YouTube. For 48 years old, dude's still got moves, and he's still a badass in the ring. Like,
and for that, you need to say thank you, DDP Yoga.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Diamond Dallas Page, because Chris Jericho is almost crippled, and he changed his diet, stopped lifting weights, and started doing only yoga. And he's now in better shape now than he basically ever was in his 20s or 30s, he says.
Yeah, it's impressive. So
at damn near 50.
All Elite Wrestling is kicking off. They have their first pay-per-view under this brand in May, I believe it is, in Vegas.
There you go.
I'm getting it. Right now, I'm getting it. I'm excited. Some of the wrestlers that are in there, Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks. Young Bucks have really made a name for themselves. Suppose the WWE offered them a really good deal. They've gone here. And if you've been following Jericho's feuds in New Japan Wrestling, he's been feuding with Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega, whose deal runs out with New Japan at the end of January, rumor has it he's coming to All Elite Wrestling February 1.
Nice.
So they've got a pretty decent roster that's getting put together there. I'm not going to read all the names there, but there's a couple things that stood out that were interesting to me. They're going to pay men and women the same kind of rates. There's not going to be a separate tier of wages for women. And their intent is to bring everyone on as a full-time employee, meaning they get benefits, health
insurance,
retirement. The way WWE does things is you're an independent contractor. You make your own money and you can pay for your own health insurance. The way All Elite Wrestling is talking is they're going to cover and give benefits since you're all full-time employees. It's really interesting. I'm not super spun up on All Elite Wrestling, but like Suncast mentions in the chat room, Andrew Zarian over the GFQ network has a few episodes of the Mat Men podcast covering all of the AEW news. So if you want to get more spun up on what's coming out of AEW, go check out Mat Men over on GFQ network. They've got much more in-depth coverage. They've been following it a lot closer than I am because I saw they were doing an event. I read about it and went, God damn, this is exciting. I can't wait to see what they can do. I don't think they're going to be the next WWE. I don't think they intend to be the next WWE. I think they're putting out, or intent is to put out a good, solid product, make everyone some money, and be a viable alternative to them, not overtake them. I'm really excited. And they haven't even got the full roster announced yet. And I'm looking at that and going, I know a lot of these names just in passing from indie circuits and things like that.
Well, and honestly, this was one until I started reading the article, I didn't realize that was the name of the one that Cody Rhodes started, because this was a huge deal back in September, because it's been said over and over again that none of the independents could do their own pay-per-view. No independent company would be able to pull off a pay-per-view and actually make money. And Cody Rhodes, along with Stephen Amell and some other Hollywood celebrities, put together the All-In pay-per-view back in September, and it did well. It didn't do WWE numbers, but no one expected it to. but it did well. Like, they made money on a independent pay-per-view fucking wrestling show, and everybody was shocked. So, like, Cody Rhodes seems to really know what he's doing on the business side of things. And so, yeah, the fact that they're moving forward with this and now have like basically a major backer, that's super exciting. Because, yeah, Cody Rhodes, who people that don't know is another one of the second generation wrestlers. His dad, Dusty Rhodes, was one of the biggest stars in the 80s, the American Dream. And fucking, this is a kid that grew up like The Rock in wrestling. He grew up on the road at matches, you know, watching his dad wrestle, and his brother Goldust is still a WWE wrestler. So this is a family of wrestlers. So this is a guy, you know, he's seen, you know, the upside of being a superstar, and he's seen the downside of these guys that destroy their bodies for this business. And the fact that, yeah, he wants to put together a company that is going to make everybody, you know, equal pay for male and female performers, and everybody gets health insurance. Like, those two reasons right there are worth supporting this company. Like, I will happily see if my buddy wants to get this pay-per-view, because, yeah, I heard the All In was good, and I was sad when I missed it.
Yeah, All In, by all accounts, was good. I didn't watch it, but I've seen highlights and stuff from it, which, of course, is all going to be all the best stuff, but it looked interesting. And their first event is Double or Nothing, continuing that theme. Takes place at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Vegas on May 25th. That's Memorial Day weekend. And they have a second show slated for Jacksonville at a date yet to be determined. There's no TV deal or anything like that at this point in time, and there's no guarantee they're really going after a TV deal. For all we know, they could just decide to do their own streaming thing. Be like, hey, if you want to watch us, here's the service you need to get, and that's how you can watch all of our stuff. I have no idea what they're going to do. There's tons more announcements and stuff that are likely to be coming. But for a kickoff event, it did what it needed to. It got me excited and went, man, this sounds like it's really cool. And I'm a lapsed professional wrestling fan. Like I said, I wasn't really watching it actively. It was just from time to time when one of my buddies told me about stuff to see. I'm excited, and it feels good to have that excitement, because I'd kind of gotten bored with some of this WWE things that they were doing, because the storylines are they've got some really good athletes, but they've got some great athletes here too.
Their writers have been biting it. But yeah, also you have the huge bonus of this is a bunch of guys that aren't doing 300 shows a year for this company. Right now they're doing a pay-per-view, which means they're going to show up for the pay-per-view healthy and ready to go balls to the wall for an hour. And they're not going to be coming off a 6-day road trip where they performed 9 times. Yeah, for those that don't watch pro wrestling, a lot of those guys are exhausted basically 99% of their life. They're just tired all the time and beat up.
Yeah. As a Chris Jericho fan of his podcast and various other things he's done, including his professional wrestling work, it was exciting to me. And then when I read some transcripts of some interviews he did on Busted Open Radio, I was like, man, Jericho seems like he's in. He's basically signed a 3-year deal. He's not going to the WWE during that time. I think the way it was structured, he can keep doing work with New Japan Pro Wrestling if he wants to, but it's pretty much he's working for AEW, and he was a good hype man, promoting his excitement for it and how he thought it was going to be a good thing, a good competition, stuff like that. I'm super excited, and I also, like I said at the top of this, I really am entertained by the fact that they did their kickoff for it in Jacksonville, which is their home base, but the same day that WWE SmackDown was taping there. That is entertaining to me. It's a total pro wrestling shoot kind of move, and I loved it.
Oh, heck yeah. Well, and getting Jericho, like, that is a big name. Like, he was the first, undisputed champion, right?
He was the first undisputed champion when they unified the WCW and the WWF titles.
Yeah, this is a guy who fought in New Japan, who was WCW heavyweight champion, WWF heavyweight champion, WWE heavyweight champion, and the first ever undisputed champion. There's literally no wrestling fans that don't know who Chris Jericho is. Mm-hmm. He's been doing this shit for a long time.
He did ECW, he did WCW, he did WWF. He's been all over in Japan. He's done the Mexico circuit. I've read his biographies. They were quite entertaining. Well, they're semi-autobiographies, but...
Was Jericho from the dungeon? Was he taught by Bret Hart's dad? I can't remember if he was a Stu Hart student or not.
But there is a way for me to find out.
Yes, there is Google. I was trying to remember because I know he's Canadian, but I couldn't remember if he was actually one of the Stu Hart students or not.
He was trained by Ed Langley and local Calgary wrestler Brad Young.
Oh, that's right. He was in Calgary. Okay, so so he wasn't one of the Stu Hart kids. I thought he was, but I wasn't sure, so I didn't want to say that he was. Because a lot of the good wrestlers from Canada came out of that basement of the Hart House.
Right.
But yeah, okay, so Chris Jericho wasn't one of them.
So
Yeah, he's been doing this shit for a long time.
So we are not a pro wrestling podcast, but we can nerd out about wrestling from time to time. So please do not be surprised if, as we get closer to this pay-per-view, some of my news is centered around some cool stuff it sounds like AEW is doing, because I'm legitimately excited and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do next, and it's just going to be a ton of fun.
And I need to look up some of these other wrestler names that are listed, because some of these names I've never heard of.
Some of those names are big in the indie circuits and around the world. They've got a pretty solid group right there, so I'm curious to see what they do, and yeah, it's going to be good. I'm excited. I can't wait to see more. And hey, if you're listening to this show and you're a pro wrestling fan, you got a pro wrestling podcast, it is a hole that we have in the Gonna Geek Network. We do need a pro wrestling podcast on the network. So if you've got one and you're looking for a network to be a part of, head over to gonnageek.com/network and you can find all of the directions on how to apply to join the network. And while we're talking about the network, I should remind folks that All Things Good and Nerdy is part of the Gonna Geek Network, with 25 plus different shows that cover a variety of topics, but not professional wrestling. Things like specific television shows such as Arrow, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., or board gaming, tabletop gaming, video gaming, all sorts of stuff. We've got a ton of different shows, but not professional wrestling, so please come and give us one. And I think that you could like just about anything that's on here. I would love to tell you about every show on the network, but that's impossible. 25 plus shows. If I was reading all those different promos, we'd be here all day. But what I can do is I can give you a taste of another show on the network and say, hey, you guys might want to go check this one out. And this week I want to talk to you guys about the Starling Tribune. If you're unaware, that is an Arrow fan podcast about the television show Arrow on the CW. But not always Arrow, because this is the season 7.5 edition where the crew talks about the Virgin Gary, the very first episode of Legends of Tomorrow from this current season. The Starling Tribune reporters Stargate Pioneer, Michelle, and some dude named Chris review the Legends of Tomorrow Season 4 premiere episode, The Virgin Gary. The reporters discuss how the show successfully reinvented itself into Season 4 with Constantine and magical creatures, the amazing addition of Tom Wilson to the crew as Nate's dad, and how Sarah and Ava's relationship continues to grow. Rating Sarah, the return of Axel, and of course, Gary's lost nipple. So if you're a fan of Legends of Tomorrow, you should go check out that episode 223 of the Starling Tribune over at GonnaGeekNetwork.com. And hey, like I mentioned, I'm going to hit this point like 5 times in this promo read. If you got a professional wrestling podcast and you're looking for a home, Gonna Geek Network, we need a professional wrestling podcast. I'm willing to come and talk AEW from time to time. I'm not sure if that's a pro or a con to you if you got that podcast. But the offer's there. I'll come talk to you guys. And I'll drink less coffee so I'm less animated, because I'm 3 cups in and I'm a little jittery. I fully admit it.
I think I like caffeinated Chris. Oh, we do have to also, since we have talked a little bit of wrestling, we do have to mention that we did sadly lose Mean Gene Okerlund this week, who, if you grew up in the 80s, was the only announcer in wrestling. Mean Gene was it. He did everything. And apparently Hogan went back to Raw to do a tribute video for Mean Gene, and I haven't watched it yet, but I need to go watch that, because those two guys worked together for about 30 years. So I have to figure that it was pretty goddamn good, because, well, other than The Rock, nobody really works a mic better than Hulk Hogan. So I'm excited to go see what he had to say about Mean Gene. But yeah, it was sad to see that Mean Gene's gone, because, yeah, he did all the interviews with Macho Man when Macho Man was on coke. He did all the weird interviews with frickin' Ultimate Warrior when nobody could understand anything going on in that dude's mind. And Mean Gene could roll with a verbal punch better than anybody, because he just kept the interview moving, kept things going forward.
And he had a wicked good burger chain, because at WVU in the student union, also called the Mountain Lair, there was a Mean Gene's Burgers in there for a while. Damn tasty hamburger.
That was his? He had his own burgers?
He had his own burgers.
Nice.
It is not there anymore. I don't know when it closed. I can look and see, but it was tasty.
Sadly, we lost one of the great mic skills workers of all time in wrestling this week, so that was sad to hear. But yeah, I got that Hulk Hogan video queued up. I need to watch that.
I don't know if it's still open or not. There was one in the Mountain Lair. Who knows? I think there's only like 2 left. It was a fast food joint, though.
I didn't even know he had his own burger place. That's awesome.
It's 2001. Here I found it. Mean Gene's Burgers Coming to the Mountain Lair. Published August 13th, 2001. an eatery known for offering 7 varieties of hamburgers, ranging from mini burger to half-pound, 100% all-American beef version to the blazing Cajun burger, will soon replace Wendy's at the WVU Mountain Lair food court. So it was there when I came to WVU in 2003. I don't remember when it closed. I'm sorry.
A Cajun burger?
I don't remember it.
Hope that's not in the meat. I hope it's just toppings.
It's all gator meat. All gator meat and southern seasonings. Hell yeah.
I was literally gator.
I don't know. I'm making shit up.
Yeah, he's just
Well,
rolling.
I'm gullible. Don't make shit up.
Well, that's what we do here. That's what we do.
That's
I
why I
know.
make shit up. That's why I make shit up. Is because you're gullible. It makes
I'm
it better.
very gullible.
We're sorry, Willie. We shouldn't have taken advantage of your gullibility.
I'm not sorry.
You know he's not sorry. He's never sorry. He's an asshole.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow, that wasn't very nice.
Well, it's the truth, isn't it? Bachman, back me up on this.
It's pretty true.
Fair.
See?
Well, guys, looking at the time, it is time for us to begin wrapping up this latest episode of the All Things Good and Nerdy podcast. But as we wrap things up, we like to do our weekly recurring segment of What I'm Into. It's our chance to share with you guys who are watching live or listening at a later date just what kind of geeky and nerdy things we've been getting into, so that you might want to go check them out yourselves and become a convert. Willie, kick us off. What have you been getting into, sir?
Well, last night, I was out for a bit late last night, but it had nothing to do with this. I had my alarm set and ready to wake up. But I went to a Dr. Bacon show, which is apparently Dr. Bacon is a band. It's the first time I've ever seen or heard of them. I guess they're like a combo, like the music would be like funk mixed with jazz.
Interesting.
But they did a kick-ass cover of Godzilla, too. Ooh, when that came on, I was like, I know this song by
Hell
Blue Oyster
yeah.
Cult. And it was great. I went because some of my friends knew a lot of the people in the band. I think they're based out of Asheville, North Carolina, I think. I'm not. Don't quote me on that. Maybe Boone somewhere. That's a lot of drugs in that area, I can tell you that. I mean, when you're up in the mountains, Appalachian Mountains, what are you going to do? Go to college and do drugs.
Sure.
Don't look at me like that.
I can... Sure.
Other than that, I did watch the Bandersnatch movie. Or is it considered a movie, or is it like just like an episode of the...
It's an interactive story of some kind is the best way to put it. I don't know.
But I don't think it's long enough, depending upon your choices, to be a movie, right?
That's the choose your own adventure Black Mirror.
Right.
Yeah. I watched it. It's okay. It's not bad. I think I saw a couple different endings, and it was okay. Like it's just the story idea of it. Like, and some of those choices get very specific. Like, it's like, well, I guess this was wrong. Oh, so this makes some crazy shit happen. Okay, like really crazy.
So the question is, how many times did you watch it? Did you just watch it one time through?
Well, once you if you mess up a thing, it'll let you go back to I guess the main decision that split you off from it last. It'll ask, do you want to go back to this decision? Like, sure. Yeah, so.
Now, it doesn't actually work on all the different Netflix apps out there. I think it was the Apple TV it doesn't work on. And crap, what's the other one? There's like 2 or 3 of the different Netflix platforms it won't work on.
Well, it works perfectly fine on the PlayStation 4.
Yeah, I think on the consoles it worked fine. On the Rokus it worked fine. I believe on the Fire TVs it does. But there was Apple TV and something else it wasn't working. I think some smart TV apps it might have been. I cannot remember.
And I guess the Bandersnatch, it kind of takes a turn to be like Stranger Than Fiction movie. It kind of takes a little bit of a turn like that. When you see it, you'll get to like, oh, okay, it's a lot like Stranger Than Fiction. Will Ferrell. And Dead by Daylight. I see other new movies. Still saying Hereditary. Watch that again this weekend. It was still just as good. Deserves to be up there for the best of 2018. I don't think I watched any other movies. Unless I think I might have mentioned last week that fucking don't watch Jesus Christ, words and things. It's not happening today, is it, boys?
Annihilation was the one you were complaining about last week.
No. Hellraiser, Judgment. Don't watch that. I saw it on Netflix. It's terrible.
Wait, what is this, like Hellraiser 9?
Maybe 11.
Yeah, it's the 11th film in a series. Why are you complaining?
I thought it was going to be at least something. Like, oh,
You know
this is kind of good. I thought it was going to be corny and funny. Like, Jason X was fucking excellent because it was corny.
It's Uber Jason, man.
I know, but I mean, Hellraiser is fucking off with him, I guess. Hey, we got this shitty script. Let's attach Hellraiser to it. Hell yeah! And I also finally watched the Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Was not really a fan of that.
I've heard people love it and heard other people hate it.
I don't hate it or love it. It's just, it's like, I mean, I get what they were going for, and it's just not my thing. Don't take my opinion of it like to heart. Like, you could love it. Like, it's just something that wasn't for me. Like, it was like, all right. But that's what I've been getting into. Some more Dead by Daylight, of course, will be happening. So, next,
I'll go next. I have been playing most of my games on the Switch lately. A mix of Super Smash Brothers during the week and Diablo 3. And then Friday, if you guys followed my Instagram, you probably saw that I had 2 games show up that I forgot I had pre-ordered on Amazon before the pre-order discount went away. So I had New Super Mario Brothers U and Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition show up in my inbox, for lack of a better term, on Friday. Yesterday, I started playing New Super Mario Brothers U. It's pretty fun if you like 2D platforming Mario games. It's fun. There's a lot of good platformers on the Switch. This is pretty good. If you're not familiar, it's based off the Wii U game that came out in 2013. They re-released it for the Switch, added a new character, because there's a lot more people that own Switches than Wii U's.
3D Mario is better than 2D Mario.
They're
Prove
different.
me wrong.
They're different.
Prove me wrong.
I think it's a matter of taste. I prefer the 3D Marios myself, but there's other people who prefer the 2D platforming Marios. And to each their own.
That's fair.
You don't have to love them both. You don't have to hate them both. You can do whatever you want. Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition I also played last night, only for about an hour just to start playing. For those that aren't aware, I think I've mentioned it on here before, Tales of Symphonia is one of my favorite JRPGs of all time. I've played it on the GameCube through multiple times. I have it on the PC. I really enjoyed Tales of Symphonia. The other Tales games I've never quite gotten into as much. I don't know why, but an hour in, I'm enjoying Tales of Vesperia so far. There is a ton of stuff I'll have to do. I also really enjoy that Troy Baker is the voice actor for the main character. Anything with Troy Baker, I'm sold on. And yes, I do know this is a remake. Tales of Vesperia came out in, I can't remember when, but it was on the PS3. So this is an updated version with all the DLC in it that they re-released on all consoles recently.
So you're saying it's your favorite RPG. Have you never played Skies of Arcadia?
Favorite JRPG. Yes, I've played Skies of Arcadia.
That is the JRPG.
Yeah. Yes, I've played Skies of Arcadia. Symphonia is better.
And that's not what?
Yeah,
I couldn't get a handle of the fighting style, the system.
That's fair. That's sometimes what it takes to get used to. Is you have to get used to it. I like the fighting style in there. It's not the same as like Final Fantasies, like Final Fantasy 7, 8, where it's turn based and you do moves. It's live, for lack of a better term. I don't know.
I think you could also pause it to like choose out a spell or anything.
Yeah, to queue up magic and stuff. I haven't gotten that far in the game where I've been able to do that. It's a lot.
I'm talking about Tales of Symphonia.
Oh, Symphonia, yes. And I have it on PC because they released it on Steam, and I have mapped my Xbox controller so that I can play it on there. It's really fun. It's really fun. Other stuff I've been getting into. Good Place and Brooklyn Nine-Nine returned this week. Both were fantastic. Nicole Byer from Nailed It was a guest star on Good Place, and she was hilarious. She's hilarious on Nailed It, so I really enjoyed her appearance.
Wait, we're talking about the main host on Nailed It?
The main host on Nailed It.
She's funny.
The overexcitable black lady, as my friend puts it.
She's funny to you. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think she's funny.
Chris,
she's
we're no longer friends. Whatever little bit of friendship we had, she's not funny.
She's
I
funny.
watched an episode of that. That was
You've only watched one episode of Nailed It? That show's delightful.
Yeah,
I couldn't handle it anymore.
I watched 4 or 5 the first week, and it was ridiculous. I loved it.
Yeah, it's delightful. I love it. Other thing I got into is, I don't think I talked about it last week, but I'm kind of sold on the Rock show, The Titan Games. I think Ninja Warrior is a better show, but I've enjoyed just the weird things they come up for people to do in Titan games and how overwhelmingly positive it is. There's like no negativity in it whatsoever, so I've just kind of enjoyed it.
I haven't watched it yet. I'll have to see if it's on Hulu or something.
It's an NBC show, so I'm not sure who has streaming rights or anything like that.
All right, so I was talking about that show with somebody, and I think Google is listening out through your phone or something, because we were talking about that, and then guess what popped up in my YouTube feed?
Titan games?
No, because I said, why can't we just bring back American Gladiator? And then a full episode appeared in my recommended for you on YouTube. I was like, what the hell? I haven't looked up anything about American Gladiator at all. So why is this in my recommends?
No matter what the, contracts and shit that you sign say, just assume your phones are always listening, America, because they are always listening. All the time.
Phone, I have a bomb.
Oh, Jesus.
The NSA just heard that.
Yeah,
Okay.
What the NSA gonna do? They don't care. I'm not going to a plane.
Hulu, but it looks like Titans, the pilot, episode 1 is on the NBC website to watch. So
nice. Last thing I'm getting into is I got a new coffee mug, which you guys have seen me drinking from, but because I like smart things, it is a smart coffee mug. My battery has run out on it, sadly. But what this is a coffee mug with Bluetooth and a battery pack in it that basically you put your coffee in it, you set a temperature, and it keeps your coffee at that temperature in here. And as someone who is a slower drinker of coffee, it's really nice because, for instance, yesterday I set it down on the counter, walked away for an hour, came back, and my coffee was still 135 degrees. It was
Our hubris is getting too much for us.
I love my Nerd Cup, but the coffee that's in here right now is cold, which is why I'm drinking from my Bubba mug, because my Bubba mug kept it hot while I was waiting.
Right, so the battery has run out on this. It's only good for about 2 hours of battery life, but it comes with a saucer/charging deck, and what I have done with that is it is sitting on the table next to my recliner, so when I'm drinking coffee, I literally drop it in the saucer/charger, and the battery never runs out. But I brought it down to my basement where it's cold on best of days, so that probably didn't help it much. I only got like 90 minutes of battery life out of it, but yeah, it's really nice, but it's only a 10-ounce mug, so that's why I had to bring a thermos with me also.
All right, hold on.
Coffee.
So a question about that. So you said it has Bluetooth. Does it play music?
It does not, but it connects to an app on my phone, and on that app I can control the temperature I want.
Oh my God.
That's awesome.
No, it's not.
So say you're drinking coffee, you set it for 135 degrees, which is the suggested temperature, but then you switch to tea later, you can drop it down to 120 degrees, and it keeps it at that temperature for you.
What is wrong with you people?
I'm a slow coffee drinker. I like it.
You milking that thing?
Sometimes, but like I said...
or creamer. Which one?
I have actually... what is it? It's not actually real milk. It's like the nut milk. It's like a cashew something or other that I use for my coffee.
Nut juice?
It's nut juice. But sadly, my battery is out, so it is no longer keeping my coffee warm, so I'm not drinking any more coffee down here.
Do they make them with graphics on them?
No, but they also make a travel mug version, which is bigger. But
I'm sorry.
Super expensive.
What's stopping you from putting your own image on it?
Nothing.
Exactly. And oh my God, just kids.
That cup looks like it needs a really good vinyl sticker.
You could put one on there. You can't machine wash it, just a heads up. And the reason they say that is because if you look at the bottom of this, you can see these 2 copper rings on here, and that's how it charges. Yeah, when you set it on the platform, there's 2 little metal prongs that touch the copper ring wherever it is that are used to charge it.
Okay, so it's the same technology as the phone charging bases. They just, for some odd reason, left the conductive plates open to the air.
No, this isn't conductive. There's 2 metal pins that sit in the saucer, and those 2 metal pins touch this metal, so it's metal to metal, and the charge is done that way. It's not wireless.
That's what I'm saying. It's still a conductive plate. It's just they're not doing it with a barrier in between. It's actual contact.
Well, then there's not
instead
really
of making it wireless
plate, but I think I understand what you're saying. So sort of.
That's just weird that they didn't do it like the wireless ones that phones
wireless is inefficient. This is more efficient. It charges quicker.
But
it's for coffee.
No, but the thing is, keeping things hot uses a lot of power.
That's true.
Wireless is inefficient. Like if some people have wireless chargers in their car and then they pull up Google Maps to try and get directions with the GPS running and data running, wireless can't often keep up with the power that is burned doing Google Maps and other things at the same time.
Yeah, so the wireless platforms don't work as well.
That is why they didn't go wireless here, because it keeps it more efficient.
You heard it here first, people. Power is just like the internet. Wired is always better.
Well, this is true.
And Sailor Paul nailed it in the chat room. The rings are
At
so you
least
can
for
set it
now.
on the plate. No matter how it's turned, it's always going to charge.
That's how I live my life. I'll put it how I want to.
You can put it however you want to. So my battery
In the
ran out. I
trash.
can't drink any more coffee right now. I could, but it would cool to room temperature like other cups of coffee would, and I just can't have that in my life.
Like a goddamn savage.
Like a savage, and I'm not a savage, god damn it. So now that I'm done bitching and moaning about savages, Anthony, what have you been getting into?
Drinking my coffee like a goddamn savage. Out of
Goddamn
my
savage.
Week 2, we have the finished sketch card for the week. Michael Myers is done for the Funko Pop Little Killers. So 2 weeks done, 50 to go.
Are they all going to be Funko Pops?
No, I have a list of
Thank
50
God.
some odd that I'm going to do. I have 2 more of the Funko Pop Little Killers. I'll be done with those. I'm going to do all of the Dead by Daylight ones, which you've already seen some of the sketches of those. I'm going to do the 6 original members of the New Warriors. I'm going to do... I can't remember the rest of the list, but I have a big list. So,
Oh my.
actually, wait. I think it's in my sketchbook.
How big a list
Yeah.
we talk
Oh.
about here, buddy?
Cabin in the Woods, Dead by Daylight. I'm going to do 10 of them from the Spider-Verse. I'm going to do Ruin World, Rick and Morty, and Rebels. Yeah, so I've got a big list of over 50 characters I'm going to do sketch cards of. But yeah, 1 a week, so keep it on track. And speaking of the sketchbook, I got the new sketchbook started for 2019, and I finished the first sketch of the year. I did my own Spider-Sona. So I have my Spider-Sona up on my Instagram. Did myself a nice black and red combat suit. A Peter Parker that decided to snap and whoop the shit out of Flash and then trained in martial arts so he could actually be a better fighter. Because the one thing Parker's not actually really good at is fighting. I always thought it'd be cool if he was better at fighting.
I mean, well, his power scale keeps shifting all over the damn place, doesn't it? I think in one part I saw he could lift 500 tons.
Yeah, but then Spider Island happened. He lost his spider sense, and they did the awesome thing where Shang-Chi taught him spider fu, which was fucking fantastic. And
Does
then,
he have it
I had
back?
a nice... Was he what?
Does he have it back, the spider sense?
Yeah, he has it back now.
Of course.
I had an awesome mail call showed up yesterday. For those who don't know, Jake Parker, the guy who invented Inktober, has started a new monthly art club because he started doing art drops just randomly. So there's now the Art Drop Club, where you get a folder like this, and it comes with a bunch of stuff each month. And being that Jake started it, the company was smart enough that the first month's stuff was all Jake Parker themed. So I got a PDF for the first issue of the Skull Chaser comic book, but I'm not going to show you that because the little card has the code on it, and I haven't redeemed it yet. It has a nice print of the Skull Chaser. If you guys haven't seen Skull Chaser, it's a really cool character that Jake Parker came up with. So I got that print, the Drop Art Club sticker, the Hot Dog Bot sticker that he did, where he just started drawing foods as robots because Jake Parker does crazy sketches that are awesome. And then they did a 3-sticker pack of vinyl stickers of Skull Chaser. So they got one with his gun, and then one with his awesome sky speeder, and it came in a little package. And the third one I can't show you because it's on my car, because I went out and put it on my Saturn Vue because it's a nice vinyl sticker that looks really cool, and I needed something on my car. I never put things on my vehicle, so I'm hoping I'm going to have my Saturn Vue as long as I had my Taurus, and I want some stickers and stuff on it to show what I'm getting into. And then I finally found a box of software I've been looking for since I moved in, because I hid stuff for myself and I couldn't figure out what the fuck it was. And so I finally found one of the boxes I've been looking for with office stuff. And so I uploaded Sketchbook Pro 6 and Manga Studio 5 to my PC this week. So I have a couple of art pieces I can work on, and now I will probably be canceling my Photoshop subscription because I don't need to be paying $10 a month for Photoshop because I have Manga Studio 5.
Didn't the price go up on it too for Creative Cloud? I'd seen something on
might
Twitter
have.
about it, and everyone was like, "This is bullshit." Blah, 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 blah.
It might have. I haven't even looked. Yeah, because I think they were saying it was going to go to like $11.99 or something.
Ugh.
I mean, it hasn't been bad having a constantly updated Photoshop, which that part's great. But the idea of paying Adobe, a monthly subscription fee forever instead of just owning a piece of software, like that still kind of riles me. So yeah, now I've got Sketchbook Pro and Manga Studio 5, and honestly, I just need a little more practice in Manga Studio 5. But from what I've seen, there's pretty much almost anything you can do in Photoshop, you can do in Manga Studio. It just it's a different layout, different setup. So I got to relearn that, and I have a couple of art pieces I need to work on that I owe people. There's a family crest that I started working on like 6 months ago that I haven't finished. And then, playing a lot of Dead by Daylight and a whole bunch of Overwatch. Stayed up late Friday with Overwatch and wasted my whole Saturday because I turned my alarm off and went back to sleep and accidentally slept till like 3:30 in the afternoon. I had a fun night and a lot of vodka, so it was worth it. But yeah, I accomplished almost nothing yesterday except I made new banners for my Twitch stream and my Twitter account, and I'm updating OBS probably today. I'm going to switch up my Twitch stream, so I'm going to start doing Wednesday nights for the next 2 weeks and see how that goes. Thursday night, I realize that I'm going live at the same time that the Orville starts in most time zones, and I'm thinking any of the geeks that would be watching were probably watching the Orville anyway, so I'm going to try out Wednesdays and see how that goes. And I think it'll be funny because I always do killers on my nightly streams, and it'll be funny to do killers on Ladies Night because then I could just make Ladies Night's joke, and I don't know. It seemed fitting for a horror-based game. Yeah, had a couple of good matches and one really bad match on Thursday night stream, but it was a good evening. I'm looking forward to doing more, and then I might start doing like Saturday afternoons or something, just for doing survivors because I've been doing only killers on the stream so far. But yeah, I was actually having fun streaming, and then I went and picked up 2 movies last night. I finally watched The Predator, which actually was a lot better than I thought it would be from a lot of the bad crap I'd heard. The Shane Black script was good. The comedy was a little much with the loonies, but it was a fun movie. I like the combat between a predator and a hybrid predator because after like 7 movies you kind of have to turn up the volume on your storyline. You got to go somewhere with it, and the fact that they're like, oh, we're gonna do like a hybrid mixed predator where they're artificially evolving to make themselves better hunters. It was a pretty cool story, and the special effects were great. So I'm excited to see if they move forward with it because the end of the movie is a hell of a setup for a sequel. But I wish they'd called it something else. And why couldn't it have just been Predator 3? I don't get that. Because now we have Predator.
Smart.
What, Chris?
They got too smart. That's all.
Yeah, because we have Predator, Predator 2, Predators, and The Predator. It's like, come on.
Why can't we include Predators as being part of the main franchise? 'Cause that was a good movie.
Well, it is. On the special features for The Predator, they have the Predator wrap-up, and it's like a 15-minute video, and it's 5 minutes of the first Predator film, like the first Predator film condensed down to a 5-minute movie, the Predator 2 condensed down to 5 minutes, and Predators condensed down to 5 minutes. So it's basically saying this is all you need to catch up on the movie you're going to watch, and it only has those 3. I thought it was weird that it didn't have AVP in there.
I was about to say.
Yeah, because there's no AVP, no AVP 2, which, okay, I give it. Those weren't the best movies, but they were fucking enjoyable, and we got to see aliens fight predators, which was awesome.
No. You already fucked up because this was my main problem with both those movies. You get to see aliens fight Predator.
Whatever.
Sure, there's 3 of them in that first movie when they first came down, but those 2 quickly died off. And there's just one Predator versus a bunch of aliens. Like, I want to see multiples of both.
That's the point. The Predators are skilled hunters. The aliens are just bugs. They don't, hunt the way the Predators do.
I want to see a crossover now. I want to see Starship Troopers versus aliens. Bug versus bug. Holy shit!
That
Obviously,
would be awesome, actually.
The bugs versus the xenophobes.
Yeah,
that would be pretty cool. But yeah, so I've been getting to that, and then I'll be streaming again live on Wednesday, and then I got to go watch Hellfest because that was the other movie I grabbed, and that one looks cute.
Hellfest. Which one was that one? I think I've seen it.
That's the one where they go to like a horror show, and there's actual people inside killing people at the.
Oh no, I haven't seen it. I wanted to see it.
It's like a horror carnival, and there's somebody actually murdering people inside. It's a classic horror story that's been redone 4 or 5 times in different short films and movies, but this one looked pretty good on the previews, so I picked it up Redbox, $1 whatever. So I'll watch that. I like The Predator. I'm hoping I like Hellfest. Yeah, that's what I'm getting into.
Fancy. Well, guys, I think it's time for us
fancy banners
to shut this thing down. We're an hour and 20 minutes into this thing. We got a lot of content. We're excited about pro wrestling. Well, at least 2 out of 3 of us are.
And I want to apologize for a mostly Willie-less episode.
It's okay, Willie. You had things that got in the way. Mother Nature screwed you.
Oh, man, walking up my steps last night, because it's all metal steps, and it's just out. I could feel the ice. Of course, it was already on the top of the handrail, But walking up, I was like, when I started getting closer to the top, I could feel like the crunching. I was like, okay, good thing I know how to walk on ice.
Yep.
I like
Slow down.
Or just make sure you're flat and no motion.
Yeah.
Because I used to walk to school and had to walk on ice on the asphalt. And I learned quickly. Of course, it was also on a slow degrade, so sometimes you just started sliding. Like, okay, this is my life now.
Just ski to school.
Been there
For
before.
that one little part. That one little part.
Well, guys, all that being said, it is time for us to start wrapping up this week of the show. Friendly reminder, we do stream live every Sunday, live, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, over at geeks.live. That is the official streaming home of the Gonna Geek Network. While you're there, scroll down to the bottom of the page. You'll see a calendar of all the upcoming live events. We got a lot of live content here on the network. We'd love for you to pop in and check out some of these other shows. And hey, tell them that we sent you. Well, tell them that Willie sent you, because that's more entertaining.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. And as an unfriendly reminder, coffee cups don't need to be smart.
You're just jelly.
No, I don't drink coffee. First of all, so I don't really.
Do you drink hot
So,
cocoa?
not enough to have one of those cups.
Do you drink tea?
So we know we're getting
Not
Willie
really.
for Christmas.
Hey,
Smart
listen,
enough.
Chris, where do we live at? Where do we both live at? We live in the South. We don't drink hot tea, motherfucker. We drink sweet, ice cold tea.
Dude, let me tell you, in the north central West Virginia area, they don't understand what sweet tea is.
Those sons of bitches.
They don't understand sweet tea like we do. I'm born and bred in South Carolina. Well,
I know
born,
where I'm
not
bringing
bred.
that bomb at. I got.
I was
Bomb,
born
bomb,
in South
bomb.
Carolina. I've spent multiple years in the South. Went to high school in Alabama. We know sweet tea down there. They don't know sweet tea up here.
And I'm going to tell you, you sons of bitches that go to McDonald's and think that sweet tea is sweet
It's
tea.
not sweet
No, that's just like flavored sugar water. Oh, like emphasis on the sugar. Jesus Christ.
Here's how sweet tea should work. It should be almost like syrup, and your teeth should hurt after you drink it. That is Southern sweet tea.
I don't know if they're nationwide in Mexican restaurants, but Mexican restaurants here have the best sweet tea. They're not overly sweet, but they're sweet.
We just had our sweet tea rant here. You guys know how it is. You listen to Willie and I when it comes to sweet tea.
You goddamn right.
All that being said, though, we do need to shut this thing down. So please come back and see us next week. Come see some of the rest of our friends on the network. And hey, just go check us out on Facebook, Twitter, all those other things. I don't need to run them down. You guys have any final thoughts as we shut it down?
Learn how to do sweet tea right, rest of the world.
That's right. That's right. Well, on that note, we're shutting this down. Go check out some of their live content today. And thank you. Thank you, everyone who joined us live and listens to the later date. We really do appreciate you. Bye, guys.
Brrr.
Thanks for listening to this brand new episode of the All Things Good and Nerdy podcast. Don't forget, we'll be back next Sunday live at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central over at live.atgnpodcast.com, channel 3 of the Alpha Geek Radio app, and over at our network home at gonnageek.com/live. If you have any feedback for the show, please contact us atgnpodcast@gonnageek.com, on our hotline number at 304-806-ATGN, or even better, go to Twitter and send us a message at ATGN Podcast. The music you've heard in this show is produced by Kevin MacLeod and can be found at incompetech.com.